grab it here. So this is going to be the introduction section of the assembly operation. So let's get started with a discussion about how much area do you need to build the printer, and Prusa is maintaining that one is going to need 1.5 meters of space. As you see, not in depth-wise, no hope. And if we try and measure sideways, so did I set it up? Yep, 1.5. Ain't gonna work either. But that's in the instructions. 1.5 times 1.5 meter table. I actually don't know in which setting you will find such a table except for a workshop environment, because in workshops you usually have these very, very large assembly tables in factories where you can actually have the space to set up stuff for welding and stuff. But this is the space I have, and this is the space we're going to build it in, so let's hope that everything will work out. Now, if we have a look at the tool set that we got with the package, then we have some 3 different sizes of Torx, or actually there's Torx on both ends, so there's actually 6 sizes. And then you have Allen keys also, but there's only 3 sizes. And then you have these little bit weird things here, and I don't know what that's for yet. And then of course pliers, and then 2 screwdrivers. So my intention is to basically I'll probably pretty quickly swap to my iFixit gear. And no, it's not sponsored, I had to buy it with my own money, but these are, I can say even without being sponsored that these are worth buying if you do a little bit more electronics repairs type stuff, or it's actually worth it. And they have very many different types, so you don't actually have to buy that specific one. But anyway, we will see how it will work with these. And let's see, then there's a little bit about the labeling, so I just kept this package here for presentation purposes. Now each of the boxes or bags has a label on it, and in the label it's quite descriptive about what it contains, like the number of parts and stuff. So it's actually very helpful if you start thinking, I've lost a part or something, then you can actually reflect back to the label. And this paper here you shouldn't throw away immediately, because actually what this has, if we go ahead and open it up, it actually has a very useful part of it in 1-to-1 ratio, where you can actually see when it talks about a specific size of fastener or a certain type of part, you can actually and usually in the manual it'll also say that you can use this to find out what it is. So then you can actually go use this as a template to find out that you've selected the correct screw, for example, without actually having to measure it a lot. So don't throw this hint sheet away. If you lose it, then you can actually download it from the net. So it's available there. I have my cheat sheet here, so let's see. Then there's a bit of emphasis in the instructions that if you follow through the instructions, like what does it mean by, it's got a picture where it says what does it mean by front, back, right, left, because when you're assembling the printer you're going to be moving it around, and so you have to make sure that you when it says like on the left hand, you got to make sure you actually have the left hand side on the left hand. So you haven't like moved it around and then suddenly the actual left hand side is the right hand side, and then you're trying to figure out how to put that part on the wrong side of the printer. So it's mainly, I think it's a warning that you understand the orientation you have the printer on, and then you actually have to kind of mentally reflect on the fact that when it talks about a specific, if it talks about the right hand side, it means the right hand side of the printer when the printer is in a certain orientation. So that was just a bit of an observation. And let's see here. This was this one. So getting into. So I'm just going to move the tools out of the way because we need the space. So now we're going to start with this, and this is the first layer in the first box, the first big box, and this is the one that has the two main lead screws in it, and the instructions are not to this packaging, that's for sure. So I'm really going to complain now because you have the lead screws here and these are just hanging here, and any sane person doing the job quickly to get this out of this foam packaging might risk taking a hold of this, the lead screw, and pulling this out of the package, and guess what's going to happen to that lead screw on this poor stepper motor. So this has definitely got to be the worst packaging design I've seen in a while. And I mean, the idea is that you should lift it from the sockets here, but then you need to be really careful. So to not put any undue strain on this, I've actually come up with a better method. So the first thing is you can take these out, and we just set them to the side. So as you see now, we have this part free, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the foam free from the cardboard on both sides. So I'll just do it with this. I'll be back when it's done. So that's done, and then what you can do is that you can actually lift that off and lift that off, so you get this blocking part away. And then what you can do is that you can very nicely slide those parts out without putting any strain on the lead screw. And by the way, when you're disconnecting the foam from the cardboard, then make sure you lift up these cables, so if you're using a knife or something, that you don't cut the cables. But you see how nice they come out, no strain, nothing, nice and calm. Now you have them two separated, and that's definitely not described in the instructions, so I don't know how many people have ruined their printers by being over aggressive by pulling at this, because this should not be pulled at. You're going to end up with a scrap printer. So nice and safe. And then it says that this first stop should be removed. Let's see how easy that is to take out. That's just to, I don't know, you probably can't see it, but it's just to press these two clip holders and then pull it out. And it's only the first one that's going to come out now. So that's the first one. So the only part of the instruction that's valid is to actually remove that. But anyway, I was a bit sort of disappointed about that, the way those were packaged. But anyway, now we have those free, and they are unpacked to the extent that they should be unpacked, so they can be set to the side until they are needed. So, moving on, what do we have next? Now, I've kind of made a summary of the instructions, so if you want to see the real instructions, then I suggest look at the online version. So when you're going to move the printer around during the assembly, then you need to be careful that you don't damage it. So that means that you should move it using the base or then when we get the side extrusion someplace, that you move it around with those. But don't try and grab it from the top, around the top, because there's a lead strip that goes on inside that profile, and you might damage it if you start pulling it there. Then there's a silicone sock, and then you ask, sock? What are we talking about socks for? It's actually this little thing here, and with every extruder you get this so-called sock, and this you put over the hot end, and the idea is that it protects the heating block from getting gunked up with the printing material. And some people like these and some people don't. I have both used them and not used them in my 3D printing history, so it does actually keep the heating block and the nozzle, immediate nozzle area, more clean from the print material. And if you don't use it, and it does help if you have like you're having a misprint that the printer doesn't recognize, and then it's like extruding lots of filament all over the place, and then it's been moving the head around in the area, and then if you don't have the sock, then usually it like gathers up a lot. So it might be difficult to clean off the nozzle in such circumstances, so that you can use. But yeah, I don't know if one can consider it a mandatory accessory as such. But with every extruder you get one, and these are consumables, so you can expect these. They won't. They're heat resistant, but I mean they will get under mechanical stress. So you usually have to be renewed from time to time. So what do we have here next now? Which is understandable, is that these parts are lubricated with certain lubrication chemicals, and I don't know. It's probably obvious to the people around. Yeah, those that have done work with 3D printers for a lengthy point of time, that you can get oil and lubricants on your fingers. So some people are sensitive to that. Definitely you don't want to be rubbing your eyes after you've got lubricant on your hands. So try and keep remember that if you touch lubricated surfaces, then wash your hands before you go eat stuff, or and try not to rub your eyes and stuff. And as I said, there's a bit of an issue, like how sensitive you are to different chemicals. Let's see. Now, those that want to follow on with the instruction, as I'll put a link in the in the comments. It's freely available for everybody, and you can also find high resolution pictures, so even higher resolution that's in the manual, which might be of interest to look at if you're interested in a very specific detail, and that you can't see it on my camera view here. So then you can go into the manual and click on the high resolution pictures, and then you can zoom in and really see the details. And Prusa maintains that it's available for support 24/7. They have some kind of a chat bot, and then you can email them also if we have problems. So let's see if we have a problem of that, such a significant level that we can't solve it ourselves. Then we will try and send them a mail and see how fast they actually cough up with the goods. So anyway, I just thought I'd stop it there. So that's the introduction part. We'll be moving on to the next section in the next video, and hope you would like to stay on board for the journey, and I'll see you in the next one.